Alright, what's up guys, it's Light Hyper here with another video on SW Bros, and today's video is going to be the top 5 farmable monsters for mid-game players. So me, I'm basically mid-game. I'm definitely mid-game. Definitely not late game, even maybe closer to the early game stage of the game. So I mean, because I have about 15 6-stars, you could check. I'm gonna make a account little review thing after rune removal day every month starting from now on. So those videos will be coming out probably tomorrow. Mine will, and then Spirals will be coming out soon too, maybe even tomorrow. I'm not sure yet, but yeah, so you'll be able to check on my account how good my account is, if I'm early game, mid game. I don't know, I consider myself mid game, but definitely, not late game. I could beat DB10, GB10, TOA 100 normal, but I don't really have a necro team. I don't do raids, elemental raids. I haven't really touched in. Fighter 1. I'm a Fighter 1 player. So I would say about mid game to early game. So yeah, we got the top 5 farmable monsters for mid game players. So I made this list somewhat depending on what I think is the best. Again, this is my opinion. So if your opinions differ, go ahead and leave them down your opinions down in the comments. We'll be glad to hear them as long as you're kind about it. We'll be perfectly fine to hear your opinions. So first we got Viramos, the Dark Ifrit. Viramos is just such a good monster because he's great in dungeons, all dungeons, so all the elemental ones, the Hall of Water, Hall of Fire, all them. We got dragons he's good in, giants he's good in. He's just really good overall in everything. So he'll do you good and everything. So then we got his first skill, does a dot with 50% chance for 2 turns. So that's always good for the bosses and the dungeons. It'll do the dot, bring down the health a little. That's always good. And then we got this one, attacks all enemies, stuns them with a 30% chance. The damage proportionate to my max HP. So it does a little bit of damage, but the main thing is max skill that does 60% chance to stun AoE. So it'll usually stun a few guys at least. So that's always helpful for the stages leading up to the boss stage. It's great in TOA. Just both really good skills. And then he has this skill. Removes a weakening effect except inability effects. So it doesn't remove sleep, stun, or freeze. But it removes everything else: death break, attack break, dots, provoke, anything else like that. On all allies, each turn recovers 3% for HP for each weakening effect. So I never noticed the heal that much, but it's there, it's nice. But mainly a one debuff cleanse is every single turn is great, because in dragons it'll take the dots off in dragons. It'll take the death break off in giants. It'll take any debuffs off in TOA. It's just a great cleanse right there. And then increase the HP of ally monsters by 33%. And as a mid-game player, you might very well end up using this leader skill a lot of times in a lot of dungeons and a lot of TOA, depending on your team. So if you haven't fused him in your mid-game, go ahead, go fuse him. I know it's painful, it takes a while, but it's definitely worth it. He's great. Definitely go and fuse one, max skill him, rune him, 6-star him. He'll definitely will not disappoint you. So second place, we're gonna do Belladon the Light and Yugami. So Bella's just such a good monster. Bella's so hard to replace. Alright, now let me explain why she is the second, or he, I don't know, is the second place in this top 5 farmable monsters for mid-game players. So first skill, attacks, decreases the enemy's defense for 2 turns. So this is such a good skill, is what people need to understand, is every single time you use that skill, it's a 100% chance to death break as long as you have enough accuracy. 100% chance for a 2-turn death break. So that means you're always going to have a death break on whoever you want, always putting in basically double the damage on everyone. It's just so good. The death break you need a death break. In giants, you need a death break to kill those bosses, to kill the crystals in the first stages. And then, Dragon, same thing. TOA, same thing. It's just that Death Break is such a good skill that you guys need. As a mid-game player, you'll definitely need a consistent Death Break like that. And then we got attacks the enemy, removes all beneficial effects on the target. And it's reusable every 3 turns max skill. So it removes all beneficial effects on the target. So it's a 100% chance to strip if you have enough accuracy, of course. So that's also really good because think about it, in Giants, that attack buff, the Giant gets, he'll strip that off and Death Break. And then in Dragons, I'll strip the immunity. You need a stripper in Dragons. Dragons B10 unless you're going right Crystal and then Boss. But if you want a fast team, you need a stripper to take the immunity off. Unless you're like really late game and you're doing a really fast speed team. But mid game, you're definitely going to need the strip for Dragons and Giants really to strip that attack buff so it doesn't, one shot your whole team or something like that. So that is another really, really good thing about Bella Dion. And then third skill, fill the attack bar of all allies by 30% and recovers the HP by 30%. Every 4 turns max skilled, I believe. So again, just a great skill because it's a 30% heal every 4 turns. So he's enough to solo heal. Plus it gives you attack bar, which is always nice to boost the attack bar to get your Vero a turn so it cleanses. Boost your attack bar so your Vertihill goes so you get more attack bar. Just boost that little bit to get that next turn, next skill, whatever. And then just the heal. Bella's good enough to solo heal in a Dragons team or a Giants team. In fact, I use him in both right now. I use him in Dragons and Giants and TOA right now on my main account. This, of course, is on an alternate account, but this skill is enough to solo heal most places if your other monsters and stuff are good enough. Third place, we got Sigmarus. Where is Sigmarus? There he is. Oops, sorry. Sigmarus, the Water Phoenix. On my main account, I use Sig all the time. So let's go over his skills. Attacks the enemy with mysterious energy and stuns them for 1 turn with an 18% chance. Now I'm not sure what that is max skilled. What the chance is max skilled. Yeah, I don't know. I wish I could check, but I don't have Sig on this account. I think it's around 48%. So I think it's about a 50% chance of stun. So that in itself is actually really helpful because if you're doing TOA, Dragons, Giants, he'll stun the fodder stages for Giants and Dragons, and then in TOA he's hitting super hard because he's a nuker. Plus he gets that stun, and if you have the accuracy, so 50% chance, I'll take that, especially on a nuker. That's really actually a really pretty good skill right there. And then attacks with an extreme chill and freezes the enemy for 1 turn if you get a crit. So assuming that your Sig has at least 70 crit rate, there's a good chance this is going to crit. So if you have an accuracy, which I don't really have that much accuracy on mine, but anyways, if you do, this is going to freeze every single time. So that's a 100%, that's a great crowd control. He has a stun and then a freeze, and this is every 2 turns, I believe, max skilled. I mean, that's hard to beat for a nuker. Hitting, freezing, stunning. And he's hitting hard with a Death Break. He's gonna hit hard. And then third skill, attacks all enemies with an exploding ice volcano, inflicting damage based on their max HP, and decreasing their attack bar for 2 turns. And I believe this is reusable every 3 or 4 turns once you max skill him. Now, this skill is really, really good in about everything you do Sig in. So Dragons, Giants, TOA, this is a great skill right here. So in Dragons and Giants with the Death Break, the skill is gonna hit so hard on the boss because it's based on their max HP. It'll hit. Yeah, I mean, if you have decent runes, not even that good runes. If you have all right runes, it could hit 300k on the water boss. 200k, 300k on the water on a Hall of Water boss with pretty mediocre runes, not even good runes, and then decreasing their attack power for 2 turns. So it also puts a 2-turn sword break on everyone. So if you have a death break, with a galleon and with the attack buff, this is gonna hit hard. It's gonna give him a sword break. So that's really good. And then, not to mention his leader skill increases the HP of ally monsters in dungeons by 44%. So when you're using him in dragons or giants, his leader skill improves by 44%. I mean, that's great. That's really good. It's better than Vero, It's in dungeons, of course, but I mean, you'll be using him in dungeons. So he has almost 1,000 base attack. So I wish his base speed was higher, but what are you gonna do? Sig's a great monster. Definitely go ahead and fuse him. I waited a long time to fuse him on my main, a long time, but I got around to it eventually, and I don't regret it one bit. He's great for mid game. He might you might stop using him as much once you get later game, but for mid game, build him. You'll use him in your first Giants B10 speed teams, your first Dragon B10 speed teams, when you're moving into those Dragon and Giant B10 speed teams with 1 or 2 nukers instead of 3 or 4, when you have 1 or 2, you'll definitely use him. Like I use him in Giants right now. I have a little beginner speed team. I have a video on it on our channel somewhere. It's a team. It's Bella, Vero, Bernard, Sigmarus, and Lucian. So 3 of those I said are the top 3 mid-game players. The mid-game monsters, or the top are 1, 2, and 3 monsters for mid-game players. So they're just great monsters. Sigmarus you'll use in Giants, Dragons, and TOA mainly. Arena, guild battles maybe. But those 3 things you'll definitely be using him in. Alright. And then 4th place is going to be, Spectra the Fire Griffin. You guys probably know that Spectra is good. Spectra is really good for mid-game players. I use Spectra all the time. I use him in my Dragons team. I'll use him in TOA. I just 6-star him. Actually, he's my last 6-star. So I use him in Dragons now. I just re-ruined my Dragons team. So I use him in Dragons. I'll use him in TOA. So he just does really, really good in those 2, and that's mainly where you'll use him, TOA and Dragons. But that's good. You need TOA and you need Dragons when you're mid-game. So attacks the enemy with the razor sharp claws. Damage increases accordingly to your attack speed. So you're gonna ruin Spectra pretty fast considering the monster he is. He should have at least 170 speed as a mid-game player, and it's not hard to get since he has 126 base speed, which is just incredible. That's great. This skill will hit decently hard for a support monster. I mean, it doesn't hit that hard if you don't build him for a nuke build with crit damage and crit rate, but it'll do some damage. I have like 80 crit rate on my Spectra on my main, and not that much crit damage. I didn't really like 80 crit damage too, or something, or I don't know, 60, 70, 80, somewhere around there. I didn't really get around to. I didn't have the runes to get the speed, the HP, the accuracy. Because you need accuracy, you need speed, you need HP, you need crit rate, and then crit damage would be the 5th thing you need on that list. So I didn't have the good enough runes for that, but if you do, put the crit damage on it. It'll only help. And then we got a 2nd skill, Special Assault. Inflicts damage proportional to the enemy's max HP, consumes 10% of your HP. So this is so good on TOA and Dragon. So damage proportionate to the enemy's max HP. So let's say in Dragons you have a death break on the dragon, the boss, and you hit him with this, it'll bring that HP down fast. It consumes 10% of your HP, but you have Bella or hopefully a healer in your team to heal that back up as a mid-game player. But this will still be great. This will still hit hard and do good. And then his 3rd skill sends out a gust of wind that has 50% chance to decrease the attack bar of all enemies by 30% and decrease their attack speed. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, for Special Assault, in for special assault in TOA and TOA 100 Lyrith, the girl boss. When the little crystals pop out on the side, this is great for nuking those down to kill them as fast as possible while still having a support monster that does debuffs and helps in other parts. It's very good for that. He's great in TOA. And then third skill. All right, so it has a 50% chance to decrease the attack bar by 30%. So AoE, and this is harmless, so it doesn't matter what element that you're attacking, even if it's, even if it's water, even if it's water, or even if, like no matter what, excuse me, no matter what element that you're attacking, that this will harm this and it'll decrease the attack bar and then decrease their attack speed. So for dragons, it's great for pushing the immunity crystal back. In TOA, it's great for pushing everyone's attack bar back and putting the speed debuff on. It's just really, really good for that. Fifth place is actually going to be a natural 2-star fire. If you haven't guessed by now, it is Colleen, the fire harpoo. Now, Colleen is great in two things mainly. Raids, like R5, R4, whatever you're doing, raids, and Necro. And she can also be used in the elemental raids in some of them, but mainly raids and Necro is where you're really going to find use for Colleen. As a mid-game player, you'll be eventually moving into raids and Necro. So, alright, so performs a ruthless combo, kicking the enemy 2 times. So that's good for Necro attacks 2 times first skill. Each attack has a 50% chance of decreasing the attack bar. So sword break. So basically each attack has 50%. So it's close to 1. I mean, majority of the time you're gonna get one of those. Get the sword break on him. It attacks twice. That's good for Necro right there. And raid, it puts the attack buff on, which is nice. Or attack break. Throws sharp feathers to attack the enemy and puts a heal block on him for 2 turns. So again, that's really good for Necro. Get that heal block. It's also really good for raids to get. Anyways, the heal block it's always good to have heal block because heal block's just really useful debuff at times. For example, in Hall of Wind, Colleen's great because you'll put the heal block on him and they won't be able to heal. That full heal crystal will not be able to heal. And then we got the third skill, recovers the HP of all allies by 25% and increases their attack power for 3 turns. This is every 3 or 4 turns, I believe, max skill. And it should be easy to max skill her considering harpoos are natural 2 stars. The wind and water and fire ones all are. So, and I don't know about light. I know dark is nat 3, and that's farmable even too, I believe. But so another heal and an attack power for 3 turns. I mean, that's just those sword break, heal block, heal, and attack buff. That's just hard to beat. That's great. And an honorable mention is going to go. There's 2 honorable mentions. One of them is going to go out to another fire monster. Actually, a nat 4. You might have guessed it by now. Is Beretta. Now, Beretta's just, the honorable mention, I'm not going to go through fully. I'm just going to go through them quick. You guys can look into them more if you want. So, he's great in TOA and useful in dragons in a beginner's dragon teams where you're going right crystal and then boss. So, yeah, this skill is just so good. It brings the attack bar back to 0 every 3 turns max skill, or maybe even 2 turns, I'm not sure. And then this one, AoE 2 dots for 3 turns. That's good. And then a speed leader too. Beretta's just a really good monster in TOA and dragons. So, and then the last honorable mention is going to go out to a nat 5 water. Where is he? I'm looking for him. There he is, Theomars. Theomars. It's just a great nuker. Basically, this one does a dot, this one does a death break, and then this one makes it so he won't. If they put him enough damage to kill him, he has 1 more turn left, basically, and you can heal him or something like that. And then a crit rate lead. So again, you can look into the 2 honorable mentions. I'm not gonna go into them. So, anyways, so it went Vero first, Bella second, Sigmar's third, Spectra fourth, Colleen fifth, and the honorable mentions are Beretta and Theomar. So that is going to be it, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later.